Welcome data leaders and data learners to Insight Builder channel. Data structures, they are Lego bricks. Understand data structure. Data structure keeps the data, so getting it back is easy. The whole structure, the data structure, has different features compared to the individual data that it contains. This might look very puzzling, but hold on to this idea and let us go. What problem is there first? The problem is that there is a huge volume of data. The velocity of the data entry is also very high, and the variety of the data is also very different. How to manage all these things inside a Python script? That is the problem. How data structure solves them is by creating a building block like your Lego bricks. What it does is the data structure itself has a separate template. Okay, and the data inside that already has the template. We have already seen that. We have seen the data types like string, integer, and floats. All these data types can be placed inside the data structures. So this visual will provide you the idea. You see, this is a data type, cube. It's just a simple data type. The list of cubes is going to be a set or a collection. In Python, we call it as a collection. List, the dictionary that we'll be introducing next, is all called as a collection first, not as a set, because you will find out there is a data structure called set also. But let us first tackle list and dict. List is simply a series of data types. This cube that you are seeing here could be anything. It could be a string, it could be an integer. It can actually fit inside. It will not question. The Python will not question you that you are putting integer inside along with the string. It will not raise an alarm. Coming to dict. Dict is little more advanced. In case of dict, you see each set of cubes have something, some or the other fruit attached with it. You see here there is a sliced orange, and you see here there is a full orange with this list. Like this, the dict has mapping between the data, the cubes, and the keys, the fruits. This is a visual representation of how to look at the data type, the list data structure, and dict data structure. To set data structure is going to be very similar to list data structure. However, in set, there will not be any duplicates. So what will happen if I send all these cubes inside the set? You will actually get only one cube like this, because all the other cubes are duplicates. So if you make a set of it, you will actually get a single cube. That is the power of data structures. Okay. So what are some of the examples? So I have introduced three data structures. I have introduced list, dictionaries, and sets. And the data structures are, the way it is created is very simple. You open and close a bracket, a square bracket for list, and you will see you just put the data types, in this case numbers, inside the square brackets, and it can form a list. Dictionary takes a little effort. You need to create a key that has to be surrounded by the quotes, because this is a key. It cannot be changed. And then you give a value to it. Same way, 2, 3, and even both list and dict or even set don't need to be ordered when you are entering. It can be unordered. What I mean unordered? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0 looks like an ordered list. It is ordered from 1 to 9, and I have kept the 0 at the end. In case of dict, you see 1, 2, 3, 57. So there is no any order here. I am going 1, 2, 3 and immediately going to 57. So it can be unordered. And set, there will not be any duplicates. There are ways to convert the list to sets. We'll be looking into that in when we are going to look into the command line testing of these data structures. But let us go further. The template in which the list is created is called a list. Dictionary. Okay, this is actually called as a dictionary. It is not dict. It is dictionary when you are going to talk about or when you are going to explain to someone. When the template that is going to be used is dict. And same way, this is a set, and the template that you are going to use is set. When I am talking about the template, list, dict, and set, and when I am explaining to you about by using their name like set, list, and dictionary, understand the difference. The list, dict, and set templates are inside the Python world, inside the interpreter. When I am talking about these lists, dicts, dictionaries, and sets in the outside world to you, these are all for explanation to you, to show or tell how these things work. Okay, now coming to what these data structures can do. List is one of the most ubiquitous data structure that you will come across and solve a lot of real world problems. And the list can loop over the data types that is inside that. It can control what data comes out, and it can print data. In case of dictionary, it will give direct access to a particular data. We will see how these things happen one by one. We will go to the advanced steps as we progress in this course. And finally, set has other methods, but the major point that we will use sets are for to remove the duplicates from the lists. This is one of the major advantage that we get by using the set template. So I have shown how the data structures looks. I have given some examples, and now comes the objective. Yeah, it is as simple as that. I have introduced you everything, and now you go and start creating. So you have to write a script that creates a list, dict, set, and then it has to create a list of dicts, a dict of lists, and a set of lists, and print them all. You heard me right. So how are you going to do that? The pseudocode is here. So first you have to scold me because I have given you such a difficult task. Second, you have to find out the commands. And then create the list, dicts, and sets, and think how you can create these three steps. How to come up with ideas that you can create list of dicts and dict of lists the easiest fashion. And then think about how to print them. So you have to do a lot of experimentation. And before you start experimenting, I would like to go and show you something which is there on the internet itself. In docs, this particular link that I am highlighting here, you will see that this is actually the data structures introduced by Python guys, the guys who develop Python. They introduce the data structures, and it contains all the necessary information about the list methods that I introduced. And after that, it also gives you some additional information about how to use lists as stacks and queues. You don't need to worry about that, and currently don't worry about list comprehensions also. We will come to that in little more time, and forget about nested list. That is going to be much more confusing. And coming to the sets, you will also see some of the examples of sets, and you will see they have explained dictionary also. So I have not done anything new. I have just taken these examples and I have placed it for your easy access. So you can go there and do the examples there by yourself by using that link. But if you are having this document with you, which is already downloaded from the repo that I had shared, if you have not still got the repo, you can go and get the repo from here. So the repo is basically the set of codes and presentation that I will be sharing in this particular series of Python courses, Python videos. So you can go to this repo and you will find all the presentation code, etc. in this repo. You can use this link and download it. I have explained this in the previous videos. Take a look at that. You will see how to download and how to use this repo. And also, if you are okay, now I have shown you how to access the repo. Now I have introduced how to work with it, how to think about the data structures. Now what we are going to do is we are going to start using the terminal and play with the Python setup. So go into the Python DE learners data folder and open a Python shell. The terminal, what you're looking might be little confusing here. You see there is a line and it separates, and there is one more kind of a window here inside the terminal. This is because I'm using a terminal emulator called as tmux. When we go into Linux and explain about the various powers of Linux, I will be taking a separate video on tmux also. At this moment, don't worry about the overall how the terminal looks. Let's concentrate on creating first lists. Whenever you create, okay, going back to the presentation, I have first told that how to create list, and then dict. I have also same way I have copied the data here, and set also I have copied. Okay, this is something that you need to keep in your mind. Whenever you create anything inside the Python Python terminal, that is the Python terminal that I am talking about here, you should always assign it to a variable. Do not create anything without assigning it to a variable. It becomes difficult for you later, or you have to repeat it. Everything you have to repeat it. So if you assign it to a variable, it will be much more easier. I will explain to you why. And next is think what in the real world can be represented with the data structure. What I mean by this is, if for an example there is a set in real world, what kind of data can be represented using a set? This act of thinking is the biggest challenge everybody faces. The examples are provided here. So the examples provided here, for an example, in case of set, the abracadabra word has been made into a set. And if you see the output, you will see A, R, B, C, D. That is, you send this big word and you get only 4 letters. So what kind of data in this real world can you use it as set? So you need to think about these things. So keep that in the back of your mind. We will come back to this later. And finally, try printing and see whether you can understand the output. This is also one of the major points you need to understand. And after this, we will have to put it all together in a script, and then we are going to make it as a single Python script and execute it using Python dsfile.py. This is what our objective is going to be. By the end of it, you will be understanding how to create them. First and foremost, you need to create these things, and then only you can actually start working or manipulating in them, right? And you have to practice creating them a lot, because you will be using these data structures in other Python data structures as we go forward. So this particular video is very, very important. We will take another 10 minutes to go through all this sets, dicts and lists, and how to print them. Bear with me, and along with me also, if you want, you can code and see how it works out for you. So let us jump in. Okay, so I am going to create a list. First and foremost, I am going to create list 1. And I am going to create a simple list. I am going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, 34, 57, 68, and I'm going to close the bracket and I say enter. There is no any issue. It actually went through. Second, I'm going to create another list. I'm going to say 1B 47, 79, 86, 50, and enter. See what happened? I gave a B in the middle, and I gave 50 also in kind of a different way, and you saw list still accepted it. Now let us print both of them. So let us say print list 1. It printed as in the same way as we entered, but there's a gap in these between the comma and the number, but in my case there was no. So these details are very important. Let me tell you why. Because when you are going to move this list to a file, it is going to print it in the same way inside the file. You have to understand the details, because when you are going to put it inside a file and send it to someone else, you must know how the file works, right? So this detail is very important. Now let us go to something interesting will happen in list2. Let me print list2. Oh, nothing different. Whatever I put here, it has come out here also. There is no difference. But what we see here is, we see the integer type. The type of the first variable is integer, that is 1, but the type of the second variable in the list is string. How can we find the type of these variables? Okay, let us go to the presentation again. If you go to the presentation, and if you see, there are various methods that you can use with lists. Okay, they have shown you to count. We can do indexing, we can do reverse, we can do append, sort, and pop. So we will do all these things. We will not do anything more or less. So what we will do is, we will start by list2 and we will start counting them. We will say count. Oh, there is an error. Why is this error is coming? What they are saying is that I need to give something inside the count. So it will count the number of occurrences of some variable. So you go back, and inside this I say count 1. Okay, and if I press enter, I am getting as answer as 1, because there is only one inside list 2. Let me create list 3, and I will make couple of duplicates inside that, so that we can understand it little more easily. I have created the 3 lists right now. As you have seen, list 1, list 2, and list 3. I am going to use list 3, and I am going to put a dot, and I am going to say count, and I am going to say count 1. You will see count I am getting 4. This is, you see, I am getting 4 number of ones there is in the list, so I am getting count as 4. In the same way, if you try to count 2, you will get it as 2, because there is only 2 2s in the list. In the same way, if we come here, if you review the other methods in the list, the second and most important is list append. So I am going to append. We will be using this append command in lot of our programs in the future. So understand this very clearly, and you will actually like it, because you can do stuff and then append it to a list. So that becomes a very important activity that we will do in lot of problem solving. So for list 2, I am going to append something called as hi. I'm just going to append that. Okay, and again in list 2, I'm going to append hello. And in list 1, I'm going to append over here. Okay, now let us print what is there in list 1. Okay, we see that over here is got appended to the end of the list. And then let us see what is there in list 2. We have both hi and hello appended to the end of the list. Okay, now I have a thought process. What if we can create list of lists? That is called nested list, right? I told you to stay away from it, but I'm going to show you how interesting it can be. That is why I told you to stay away. You shouldn't have stayed away. So let us see. I say list of lists. So you go here, you will be surprised how it gets created. List 1, list 2, list 3, and enter. That is all. That is the reason why I told you to always attach whatever you are creating to a variable. So it will be much more easier to make complex data structures like this. Now let us print list of lists. Whoa, what has happened here? What has exactly happened is that it has taken all the lists that we created here. It appended them with various values that we appended. We actually appended it, right? We step by step appended it. And then finally, when I created a list by using this simple command, it showed us all the list that is available. Okay, let us keep the list there for some time. There are other commands here that we can also explore: index, reverse, append. I would like you to explore those things. But the most important thing, I want to go to the next step where we are going to supercharge the list with a different data structure called as dict. So let me go back and let me create a simple dict. So let me call it a simple dict, right? Let me call it a simple dict, and the simple dict is going to be A, and it's going to be 1, B is going to be 2, and see, I am using only colon here, not equal to. You should not use equal to will not work. And also there should be always this quotes around the this variable, that this key, this is called a key. Whatever you are giving on the left side is called a key, and on the right side is called a value in dict. We are going to say C, and we are going to say 20, and we are going to close it, and the dictionary got created. Now let us make it a little more complicated. Complicated dicts. Okay, let us say complex dict. What I am going to do is I am going to now create a dict of lists. How I am going to create it is like this. So I am going to say L1. Okay, let us make it a little more easy. I am going to say D1 as list 1, D2 as list 2. Okay, what has happened here? Let us first execute it and see. Okay, print simple dict. Let us see how the output is. So what do you think the output will look like? It did not look anything different from how we created. It is exactly same. But now let us print the complex dict. What will happen there is something you will be surprised. Yeah, you got it. So you got, this is a simple dict which you can create by using the simple integers and simple strings. You can also use the dict to create dictionaries of lists. This is what has happened here. The point which I am trying to convey here is that by exploring the data structures like this, by creating simple variables and simple data structures, it will be much more fruitful for you to understand how the entire Python ecosystem works, because these are all the building blocks. So once you understand the building blocks, it will be much faster for you to learn the most tougher concepts. Okay, now let's come to the final step where we introduce set. So let us say set1 is equal to set, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the bracket, and inside the bracket I'm going to create 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 5, 7, that's it, and 8. Okay, and I'm going to press. It gave an error. Why has it given me an error? It is saying set expected at most one argument got 7. What does this mean? What it means is that you have to make, you can give how many data you want into the set, but it has to be as a data structure. It cannot take it as single argument. So I need to give it as a list. So you see, I have actually covered it using the square bracket. So now if I enter, it will accept. And if I print, you will see set has gobbled up some of my data. Okay, I had 4 ones, but I am getting only one back. And you see there is a curly bracket around it. That is how we can say it is a set. Okay, there is also one more important way you can find out how to make the sets. How to find what is the type of the data structure. What we do is there is something called as type. In type is a command inside Python. So you say type and you type the variable name and you enter, you will get a reply back, class list. This is because the list one is having the template of list. You remember the template that I was explaining? The template that I was explaining here. Now go back to the terminal, and if you look at what is the type of simple dict, you will see class dict. And if you check what is the type of set, you will see it is set. This is how you actually understand the entire data structures at a fastest pace possible. Now you know how to create the list, sets, and dict. Think how to create list of dicts, dict of lists, and set of lists. You can do that also. See what happens if you create sets of lists. I'll be uploading the script for all this process in the repo, and you can actually download it by using git pull later. But you try it yourself in your own repo and upload it to your own repository in GitHub. This is very important. I have been explaining this in my first video of this playlist, that you try all these things and then upload it to your own repo so that you can share it with others and discuss with me also if you want, by sharing your repo and telling that, okay, I've done such a script, but it is working or not working. So it is one of the easiest way to communicate with your developers and your teachers as well as your friends, in fact, if you're having any questions. So there we go. I have introduced you to the various dictionary, various data structures. If we go up back, I've introduced to the various data structures. I have told what templates they use and how they look. I've explained these points in this video, and I have given you a visual representation of how the list of cubes and dictionary of cubes will look, and the problem that the data structure solves. So stay tuned for the next video. That is where we are going to have a lot of fun with files, because now we have data structures in our hand. We understand the very important concept in Python. You really understand. That is the power of this particular video. After this, we can start working on input output from the real world. The input output from the real world is going to happen using two ways. Either you as a human being input the data through the command line, like how we are doing by using the command line. We give all the information step by step and type it in, or you actually give it through files. When you give it through files, it is going to be so fast, and you will start loving to work with Python, because once you can feed in lot of, as I was explaining, with lots of volume, variety, and velocity, you will see how powerful Python can be, and at the same time you can also feel that how useful your code can be. And once you can wrap around all these things, your new ideas will start popping in your mind on how to use the code. So all these things are going to be updated to you in a couple of videos. This is all the things that I did, and finally I wanted to share it with the world. That is how these videos are getting created. So stay tuned for it, and see you guys in a couple of minutes. You will dive into Python and have a great time. See you.